It's Monday, October 14. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. A 24-hour telephone counseling support line for children with mental health issues will soon be operational. State Minister in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information says the initiative is in keeping with the government's focus on promoting good mental health among the nation's youth. The helpline will be operated by the Child Protection and Family Services Agency. The agency will formulate and draft the proposal for the helpline. According to Mr. Terrelong, statistics indicate that between 10 and 20% of children in Jamaica currently have mental health issues. According to Minister Terrelong, some childhood behavior and emotional problems have been linked to mental health. Speak up, speak now. That's the tagline for the Ministry of Health and Wellness's mental health campaign. It's the beginning of a journey to end mental health stigma. It seeks to raise awareness about mental illness and the ways in which people are affected, stimulate a national conversation on mental health in Jamaica, and promote behavior change to end the stigma against persons living with mental illness. Portfolio Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton, during a ceremony at the Bellevue Hospital in downtown Kingston, led the charge.
It's a campaign that is intended to say to Jamaicans, let us talk about mental illness. Let us try to understand what mental illness is as a starting point to addressing the challenge of mental illness. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. Understand that it is something that we need to deal with.
Dr. Tufton lamented that the average Jamaican is of the view that people with mental illness are mad, people who should be outcasts, that are abandoned or locked up. He explained that some Jamaicans are often insensitive to those who suffer from mental illness.
I am challenging all of us here. I am challenging the Jamaican people. Let us rid our minds of that perception, face the realities around mental illness, and deal with it in a way that advances a more progressive and productive arrangement to solving the challenges around mental illness.
He reminded that mental illness is no discriminator of persons, noting that it affects those who are at the highest level of professional attainment or those who are cleaning the bathroom. In addition, 1 in every 5 young people suffer from mental illness. In Jamaica, the highest overall prevalence of depression is in the 15 to 24 years, 24 to 34 years, and over 75 years age groups.
Based on police statistics and health statistics, up to 55, between 45 and 55 persons commit suicide each year, based on official statistics. In the world, it is a lot more than that. I think it's somewhere around 1 million persons globally. We are part of this global movement on World Mental Health Day to say to persons who are so inclined to commit harm to themselves in that fatalistic way that there is help. You can get help, and that helpline is intended to be the first point, always available access to a professional who can give you some guidance and hopefully steer you in a direction that is more positive.
Elements of the campaign include branding and promotion, public awareness and education, documentation and distribution of personal stories and media outreach, as well as sensitization. In the meantime, as part of the campaign, a mental health and suicide prevention helpline, 888 New Life, that's 888-639-5433, was also launched during the event. In addition, 14 new buses were handed over to the health regions to further assist the community mental health service delivery and response. The Ministry of Health and Wellness plans to bring forward legislation to clamp down on public smoking. This follows reports that approximately 15% of high school students in Jamaica are using tobacco. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton made the announcement last week. He said the legislation will be published by the end of the year. Dr. Tufton lamented the fact that the students are using tobacco at what he says, quote, a fragile stage, end quote, of their lives. In June, the minister announced that the Ministry of Health and Wellness was working on the passage of a tobacco control bill. The bill would bring Jamaica into compliance with international obligations to protect citizens from the negative health effects of tobacco. Since 2005, Jamaica has been a party to the World Health Organization's Framework Convention on Tobacco Control. It was developed in response to the globalization of the tobacco epidemic. Mayor of Kingston, Senator Delroy Williams, says Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, the KSAMC, will assist with the construction of a ramp to improve accessibility to Gordon House for members of the disabled community. Senator Williams made the commitment during the sitting of the Senate. Construction of the ramp was one of the recommendations from a recent audit in relation to the accessibility of the Parliament building.
And under stage one, which it looked at the entrance point to the Gordon House building in terms of the construction of a ramp from a section of from a particular location to the Gordon House. That is something that the municipality, of which I am the chair, is committed to looking at.
Senator Williams said the KSAMC will also assist in carrying out other recommendations outlined in the audit.
There were some other recommendations that relate to height of light switches, general lighting, security issues, persons using mobility device, and how easy was it for those persons to move around. And there was the issue of the latch side. There was the issue of the latch side clearances and for the doors and how they open, and some others.
Jamaica's public sector has been in transformation mode for more than a decade, but it is not as far-reaching as the Public Transformation Implementation Unit would have wanted. That's the word from Director of the unit, Maria Thompson-Walters.
What we've found is that we are now living in a world where our citizens have access to lots of information about other countries. They travel widely, they know what is possible, and they are demanding the same type of service from the Jamaican public sector. If we don't speed up our transformation, if we don't work through transformation, then the country as a whole will suffer.
She was speaking at a recent JIS think tank session. Mrs. Thompson-Walters explained that the public sector is competing on a global level. Therefore, it's focused on delivering efficient service.
We have persons now producing goods as far away as China, Europe, and delivering those goods in record times. So we have to understand that as a country, we are now competing with countries that are first world countries. They have more resources than we do. So we really need to step up our game when it comes on to how we deliver for citizens and for persons who we want to come into our country to invest, to help us, our economy to grow.
The PTIU director noted that the unit passed all the benchmarks set by the International Monetary Fund, which added to the successful completion of the program. She also noted successes like the rollout of GNet, a shared network being implemented in government agencies, and plans to create a more dynamic public sector.
This is a public service that is innovative, productive, and proactive. And I'll add one more that we had not articulated, a public service that is always evolving to serve the needs of its customers. We don't expect the world to stand still while we catch up.
Under the Public Sector Transformation Program, 30 public bodies have been rationalized, and Mrs. Thompson-Walters says 18 will be done this calendar year.
Our finance team is working to create a model to track those savings back into the consolidated fund. So those are real savings, not just things that we add up on a piece of paper, and to ensure that the consolidated fund is impacted positively from the action that we're doing.
37 new justices of the peace have been commissioned into service in Hanover. While congratulating the new commissioned JPs, Governor General Sir Patrick Allen told them that they are now entering a new phase of their lives, one that involves bringing specialized services closer to the members of their communities, enabling them to be on the right side of the law. He also reminded the JPs that their role is a voluntary one and that any abuse of it would result in their removal from the position. The JPs were also encouraged to give their full cooperation to the parish custos, Dr. David Stair, in his drive towards the development of good values and attitudes across Hanover. We go now to news from the region. A member of the Free National Movement has left the party to sit as an independent member of Parliament. He says more lives could have been saved when Hurricane Dorian struck the island if the ruling party had followed existing legislation. 61 people died when Hurricane Dorian moved slowly across the country September 1 to 3.
Bahamian lives are lost, and the way you would have seen lives on the street. Definitely, there is some accountability that needs to take place from the government. We have a Disaster Preparedness and a Response Act that should have been followed. The act was in place since 2008. Had we done the annual review and the annual planning from 2008, I'm not saying that we would have saved all the lives, but at the very least, we would have done what we were supposed to do.
The Centerville MP suggested that the Minnis-led government failed the Bahamian people in the aftermath of Dorian, and it's imperative that he becomes independent of partisan politics.
And then they come to Parliament with one piece of paper, say evacuation order. Really? Come on, man, let's do some work.
Chipman, in a letter to the F&M chairman Carl Culmer and House Speaker Housen Moultrie, expressed his need to become independent of institutional misphilosophies and of a system where dictatorship continues to lead to regression.
The leadership lacks truth. The type of truth that believes in people, that believe in what is good and what is right. The type of truth that believes in the law. Insecure leadership cannot work in a democratic country. Fix our parliament and you fix our country.
He was also asked whether or not he would consider representing the opposition in the next general election if the offer was on the table, and he had this to say.
Right now, I'm not entertaining parties unless the parties commit themselves to changing their constitution to make the Bahamian people the beneficiaries of their party and the Bahamas.
The founder of the Transformed Life Ministries and Rehabilitation Center in Trinidad, from which 69 people were rescued, is defending the operations of the facility. Pastor Glenn Awong says his intentions were pure and alleges the raid on the center was politically motivated.
I am not involved in human trafficking and I do not torture people. This from Pastor Glenn Awong, founder of the Transformed Life Ministry in Aruca, where 69 persons were on Wednesday rescued by members of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. 65 men and 4 women were removed from the facility, said to cater for the rehabilitation of drug addicts and mentally ill people who are violent. Mr. Awong said he thinks the attack on his business place is related to a matter in which he is suing the state for $1.4 million. Concerning allegations of abuse of patients and information that tasers and batons were found during the police's search of the premises, the pastor said those allegations are untrue. As for persons held in confinement, the Transformed Life Ministry founder said those are not cages.
So to deal with mental clients, you have to have seclusion rooms. If you all visit St. Elizabeth home, you'll recognize have little children because when them trip off and get in a different mood, you have to have police to control them. To deal with mental clients, if you want to know what is seclusion, we're doing sentence, and therefore when they trip off, we'll have clients will trip off, we'll have clients cut off their 9 toes in their foot.
Mr. Awong also rubbished reports that he and others employed at TLM were arrested. He said the rehab center was searched for several hours, after which the police left.
In sports, Trinidad and St. Kitts will host the regional Super 50 when it gets underway in November. Cricket West Indies is hoping the tournament will provide an early launch pad for preparation for the 2023 World Cup in India. And the government of Grenada has signed a memorandum of understanding with China to refurbish the island's stadium.
And His Excellency Ambassador Zhao Yongsheng of the People's Republic of China on Wednesday sealed a deal for restorative work on the National Cricket Stadium. Ambassador Zhao says a technical team will soon be on island to conduct assessments.
This is a new step between China and Grenada cooperation. So we will continue to support Grenada to develop economic and social development. So we hope we can make a close collaboration and cooperation in doing the new renovation of national cricket stadiums. According to Grenada and China government agenda, next year we will start renovation of the project.
Minister for Sport Nolan Cox, in expressing gratitude for China's continued support, highlighted some of the areas that will be upgraded.
Renovation will cover general maintenance, the audio, the fire system, the emergency, the scoreboard, seating, practically everything, the roof, everything. Practically a general renovation in its entirety. Make sure elevators are working, everything. Everything will be looked at in its entirety. Throughout. So there was a walkthrough from a technical team from China together with a technical team from the Ministry of Works that led to this document being prepared. So they know what is to be done.
Renovation is expected to begin during the latter half of 2020. Wednesday's signing ceremony was the second to have taken place in the last month. The first was to undertake maintenance on the athletic stadium. 8 engineers from the People's Republic of China are presently on island and will be here for the next 3 years. During this time, locals will understudy them to carry on the maintenance process. Most of the expenses for the projects will be undertaken by the People's Republic of China. The National Cricket Stadium was originally constructed by the People's Republic of China, and the stadium was established in 1999 at a cost of $5 million.
In women's cricket, NLCB Revellers beat Gladiators by 8 wickets last week. It was the first of 2 games for the inaugural T10 tournament at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy.
The Gladiators were restricted to 74 for 2 in their allotted 10 overs. Hayley Matthews top scored with an unbeaten 46 from 33 deliveries, while Kaisia Knight chipped in with 24 from 20. In reply, an unbeaten knock of 22 from Brittany Cooper and captain Stephanie Taylor's top score of 36 guided the Revellers to victory with 4 balls to spare.
After the match, Revellers captain Stephanie Taylor gave her take on T10 cricket.
It's the first time for me, but yeah, definitely a faster paced game, more exciting because, you know, every ball counts and, you know, every run counts. So yeah, I think for me, if I had to choose between T20, I would choose T10.
In the weather report, a trough across Jamaica coupled with an area of low pressure southwest of the island will continue to influence weather conditions across the island. The trough is expected to increase the duration and intensity of showers and thunderstorms across the island, especially during the afternoon. Showers and thunderstorms will continue to affect most parishes tonight. Fishers and other marine operators are urged to exercise caution as sea conditions will deteriorate in the vicinity of showers and thunderstorms. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thank you so much for watching.